Now, I don't know how many people in the room, hands up if you've got a Gmail account. Got a Gmail account? Yeah, me too, lurking somewhere, whether you use it or not. Well, how's this? About the best part of almost 40% of Australians have a Gmail account. Why do I open the show with all of this? Because the database has been hacked. So if you are somebody who's got your entire life on Gmail, change the freaking password, okay? This is your warning to do so, because 2.5 billion accounts around the world, including, again, Australia being one of the most populous around the world in terms of the percentages that are using. To give you an idea, the United States is only in the early 40s. So for us to be in the high 30s means, yeah, lots of people with a Gmail account, hence why I open this to you. Now, what has been happening is people have been sending text messages, or they've been calling, pretending to be on the behalf of Google. Guess what? Not true. Scammers. And the Sun reports that, however, victims in the UK, they are being bombarded with phone calls, emails and text messages urging them to hand over logins or reset passwords. So, pretty obvious, but if you get some strange little message in the middle of the night from somebody who's probably misspelt your name or the suburb or how wonderful the weather is, scam, scam, scam. I mention it because of so many Australians who, of course, had that at the start of tonight, myself included. So please change your password. All right, and there's lots of other apps if you want to keep the naked photos somewhere else. That's fine, that's your business. Oh, silence in Tasmania. Okay, cool. All right, now let's get to what we were told, of course, was the case, which was that the greatest Prime Minister of all time, and we're big Albo fans in the room, right? But come on, all of Tasmania voted red, didn't you? All of Tasmania. I thought, okay, we found the 2/3 of the country that didn't. Okay. Now, as you know, there was the economic roundtable that they put in place last week, where, of course, it was blah, blah and BS with every idea on the table except the big ones that were going to change anything. And we were told very clearly, do not expect any changes when it comes to taxation. Why? Because we're the good government. We want our 2nd, 3rd and 48th term. And that is what they were saying. Well, guess what happens after all of those assurances? Well, this is the Treasurer on Channel 2 this morning.
We have taken, I think, some important steps to make the tax system fairer, primarily when it comes to income taxes, cutting them last year, cutting them next year, cutting them the year after. And I think that establishes our bona fides from budget to budget. We do consider additional steps. Okay. The best way to do that is to do that in a consultative way.
I believe him, I don't know about you, but I believe every word that man says. And if he says he's not doing anything with taxes, then he's definitely not going to be doing anything with taxes, right? Interestingly, again, we were told that there would be no major changes when it came to negative gearing. Now, remember, before the roundtable, it was the unions who were saying that there was a great need to change, but unsurprisingly, the government was very clear to say, no, nothing to see here, there will be no changes. Until today, when the Housing Minister popped up having a chat with our mate Andrew Clennell on Sunday Agenda, and this is what she had to say, and I don't know about you, but I think you can drive an entire truck through this.
As Housing Minister, would you like to see changes to negative gearing and capital gains tax, particularly as it relates to people having more than one investment property?
Andrew, my objective of Housing Minister is absolutely clear. We've got to build more homes more quickly.
The answer is no. If it is nothing but no, the answer is yes, maybe. Now, whether there is the popular support, and according to some polls there is, about changing the negative gearing system down to just one home, now that's not going to change people today, but of course, inevitably, if the way that you chose to fund your family's future years was through those properties, well, they will not end up inheriting those properties, or certainly the wealth that comes from them. Now, I'm annoyed with this not because I know anyone who's got 78 units around the country, but because people take risks. I know this is crazy for some people to understand and government workers to understand, but people take risks. And even if those risks become a little easier, the more that you happen to have, they still take the risk and they have the expectation of being able to play financial kaplunk at the end of it, where X $100,000 or maybe, hopefully, fingers crossed, a little bit more means we're all able to pay for the back nine. Changing that system and changing it mid-flow, well, of course, it's going to damage people. But the assumption of the Labor Party and its favourite media figures is that those people clearly don't vote for them, so just keep changing. And speaking of, do we have any self-funded retirees in the room? Got a little hand? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, okay, cool, quite a few, right? Guess what? You could be next when it comes to taxation as well. These are all stories from just this weekend where the modelling is already now being done for tax hikes on retirees, particularly going after things like investments and trusts. And because it'll raise $19 billion, this may well end up being an idea. Remember, the changes to superannuation just for those 3 million, they don't affect the far bulk of the population. But again, to anyone who's made a financial choice over the past 10, 20 or even longer, it was to pay for the back 9. Any changes while those people are transitioning or in that back 9 is a disgrace. And I would hope that anyone with a chance to stop it can do so in the Senate. Now, also something that, remember, if the Liberal Party had suggested any changes to the NDIS in the lead up to the last election, what do you reckon the bloke holding up the Medicare card telling those lies would have told people, and certainly anyone with a disabled kid? But as you know, late last week, while everyone else was looking the other way, the Health Minister has now booted a whole series of people off the NDIS. Now, these are people with so-called mild autism. It will supposedly be set up with a brand new program. That brand new program will cost federally about $2 billion. And the Health Minister says nothing to see here, we're just sort of rearranging things because the NDIS is wildly out of control.
Now, I know this will be hard for some parents to hear, and I don't say it lightly, but we do need, as a matter of urgency, to create a better system that will enable our children to thrive. They are precious. We all love them. They're our future.
Well, always wait, because that sound you heard this morning was the other shoe dropping. Because this program is only half funded. The decision by the federal government is now supposedly one that they want the states to match. In places like Tasmania, where there's the debt that currently exists, where in places like Victoria, the debt is already up to their eyeballs, there is not an extra $2 billion. But every state supposedly will be hit up for their version of the co-payment. Remember, if the Libs had said anything about this during the federal election, they would have been handed their head. They were handed their head. In many ways, based off a lie, but imagine what they all would have collectively done if this was the case. Well, somebody who's going to be fighting back the case on the behalf of the opposition is a bloke who I think has a huge future in Australian politics, which automatically means that he will either be targeted because I've said something like that, or they'll be coming after him like they have people like Senator Jacinta Nampijinpa-Price. Philip Thompson is a man who served his country. He was in and around the defence portfolios in the previous opposition. Now he has responsibility in part for trying to do something about the NDIS. His daughter has autism. He said this weekend, after this scenario of moving her and hundreds of thousands of other kids off to a new program that we learned today is only 50 cents in the dollar actually planned and paid for, that families feel like their child is an inconvenient dollar figure. We'll try and have a chat to Phil as the week rolls on. He says that as a father, I sit here with great anxiety, going, will my child fall through the cracks? Because clearly there is no plan. I repeat, if this has been suggested by the other side, imagine what they would have done. But this is what the government is doing with its super majority and a Greens who will not stay in the way. Your vote matters. Your preference matters just as much. Obviously, you would have seen the protests a few weeks ago in the Sydney Harbour Bridge. Well, those were extended and repeated today in and around Brisbane. There was even some in Hobart today, where the pro-Palestine march was making its way through Hobart, the claim being that thousands of people were part of it. The Melbourne protests were doing it because it's a day that ends in a Y. And interestingly, Channel 9 decided of all the tens of thousands of people that were doing something today, that there was just a couple of people who you needed to know were the real issue to talk about tonight. And it's a preview of what they'll do on August the 31st.
40 demonstrations took place around the country. In Brisbane, an estimated 7,000 marched. Like here, it was peaceful, apart from one group of men with Australian flags throwing insults at marchers. Police moving in swiftly and arresting a ringleader.
So some people can chant about death. Fine, please keep walking. Now, I don't know what the insults were, and I'm not going to stand in defence of whatever they may well have been, but you can see this is exactly what I was talking about a few nights ago with that August the 31st stuff, about whether you're going to go, not going to go, want to go, all the rest of it, right? Now, I hate the idea that the Australian flag is being marginalised to a point where the only time you end up seeing it in the news is when someone is doing something none of us would do, but it ends up being associated with them. Bugger that. The best way to reclaim the Australian flag, buy a flagpole and put one outside your house, okay? Show that the normal person, if you've got a shop, put one in the window, okay? Otherwise, it is going to get co-opted and it is going to get further marginalised. Meantime, total cost of a couple of years of these protests in Sydney each and every week, $11 million that the state government does not have for hospitals, police or anything else. All right, a couple of other things worth mentioning, including some big news in Hobart today, was that the latest version of the Spirit of Tasmania has now finally turned up. It was in a shipyard for a really long period of time. The places where it is going to dock or not dock, this is a mess for anyone outside of Tassie. It's a beautiful boat. It's a nice way to get here. Again, visit Tasmania. But the idea that this got us out of control as it did, well, okay, we'll see what happens. Now, we know that the AFL is planning on Snoop Dogg as their pre-match entertainment. Now, I think I can read the room. Nothing but DOGG fans here, right? You're all ready, you're excited. Who's pumped for Snoop Dogg? You, madam, are you pumped for Snoop Dogg in a few weeks at the GF? Come on, get on it, get with it. Well, as you know, despite the fact that there was a player who had been rubbed out for 4 weeks because he used the F word as a homophobic slur, disgraceful, disgusting, yes, should have lost time. Whether it's 4 weeks or not, well, that's for somebody else to decide. But as you know, Snoop Dogg, he's used that word in his songs before. Who cares? He went on a podcast and we found another one here this time where he's starting to rip into the idea of who gets to make up a family and who gets to have children. Of course, he will be paid more than $2 million to appear, while the potential Adelaide player, who may well or may not have made a grand final, will be sitting on the sidelines. Now, just finally, I want to tell you about how the other half live. Are you aware of Catherine Zeta-Jones and Michael Douglas? Well, they have such a beautiful life where they have not one, not two, not three, but 4 homes. And Catherine Zeta-Jones has come out today to say that that's not excessive. Just an idea of how the other half live, right? That if you've got an Oscar, you got one, I've got one. Apparently her house is the one in the country, his is the one in the city, and they stay over all of the time. While 4 houses might not be excessive, Dale, but telling us about it absolutely is, all right? Of course, Wednesday, the show that she's on right now, when it comes to Netflix. The Ghislaine Maxwell of things, I'll deal with that again tomorrow night. But let's get into the fun. That is our weekend here in Hobart, where, of course, we're doing the show today from the North Hobart Football Club. We'll have plenty more to say about this beautiful place in a moment or two's time. But, of course, this magical bit of Australia, I'm pretty sure you all know where Hobart is and how far it is away from everything else. If you want to walk, well, you're going to have a problem. Unless, of course, you're JC and can walk here on water, but I'm doubting anyone in the room can do that. As you know, of course, it is a place that is synonymous with everything from seafood on the waterfront through to the ferries that you can catch all around, including the beautiful islands not too far. Tassie Devils. We're going to go and meet one of the Tassie Devils at the Wildlife Sanctuary, as well as, don't forget, the 300 stalls that are at the Salamanca Market, which has been around since the 1970s. Mona is there if you would like to watch 2 skeletons having sex. It's a hey. The kids have got to learn somehow, okay? And if that's the way that you learnt the birds and the bees, well, then the kids will have a wonderful life, won't they? All right, now, let's celebrate our time here by going all the way to the most picturesque bit, not too far from here, but it's much higher up than we're standing right now, Mount Wellington. Welcome to Mount Wellington. Where we are standing right now is 170 million years old. And it is one of the most breathtaking things you can see in all of Australia. You can see about 150 kilometres in lots of different directions, but our focus is one of the most beautiful capital cities in our country, Hobart. We're going to have an amazing day today of food, fun, and some Tasmanian hospitality. Come along. This may surprise you, but I love going to the markets, and in Tasmania, the Salamanca markets here in Hobart are the single biggest tourist destination in the entire state. They've been going since the mid-70s, and everything here, food, fashion, lots of Tasmania. bratwurst. Oh, tomato sauce with nothing to do but wander on a Saturday. Fine by me. Oh. Fashion and a snag. How good's this joint? What do they say about a kid in a candy store? Oh, well done. Well done. Mm.
What you got? How much sugar?
Wow. More, please. This is Constitution Dock. It's where the Sydney to Hobart ends each and every year. But for the rest of the year, it is the home of the floating fish and chip restaurant, of which there are many. They will all have things I need to taste. Been a busy morning. And how's this for a place to have lunch? Does it taste as good as this? There is no finer bakery in all of Tasmania than Jackman and McRoss. They've been here for a long time, families, lots of people have great memories here. But if you're in Hobart, you've got to have a scallop pie. And this mob do the best one. How are you?
Got that one there for you.
Thank you so much. Have a great day. Ta-da. Oh, this is going to be good. Okay. Now I get it. Oh. Imagine scallops and curry and talking on television with your mouth full. I'll do better next time, Mum. Come to Hobart. It's beautiful. You know, I'm going to be one of those guys that as the years roll on goes the hat, all right? It's as close as I'll ever come to working for the ABC, that hat, but still fun. All right, can you keep your hands going for two people who I think are a wonderful example of people who care about your community and deserve all the support they possibly can. One is part of the Hobart City Council, and fingers crossed one's going to make it to federal parliament. None other than Lee Hanson and Louise Elliott, okay? Lovely to see you both. Lovely to see you in person, Lee. All right, so Louise, Hobart is a place that has just got, you can feel that it's just got this surge that it's ready to fire up, right? It's ready to go. There's a whole bunch of people who want to, like yourself, take it to the next level, but there is the odd lefty that'll say no. Give me an idea about your vision for this city.
Yeah, you're exactly right. There are the Hobart handbrakes, I like to call them.
Yeah.
My vision for the city is that I'm born and bred Tasmanian, and I know what great people we have, and I know what great things we can achieve. What I want is for us to have everyone has a job and a purpose and an economy that sustains them, and the health system and the housing that they need, and they don't have to leave. Like it used to be, and it still is to some degree, a sort of rite of passage where we lose so many of our young people to the mainland. And I want people to be able to stay here and thrive and have a great life. And I also importantly want them to have the freedoms that I really strongly believe in. And I see far too much over-regulation and the burden on people's lives. And I think, like, all my credit goes out to Lee and others who stand up for freedom. So my vision for the city and for the people of Hobart is that it's a place where people can succeed.
Now, a perfect example about somebody who's decided to stay, despite the fact that there's that slam dunk, John, if you want it, guaranteed spot in the Senate. You know, you can call your mum, but you've said no, Tassie, right? I want to earn it from Tasmania. The experience of living and loving here and trying to run and obviously committed to continuing a conversation over multiple years, what is it that is unique about Tasmania that you want to represent? Not just get to vote for you, but that you want to represent in a national chat, Lee?
Do you know, when I moved to Tassie in 2012, so 13 and a half years ago,
I absolutely fell in love with this place, not just because it's beauty, but because of the people. Do you know, coming from Queensland, I was on the Gold Coast, and Gold Coast is great. It's a great holiday place, but it's very pretentious. So I was very...
No.
Well, don't tell anyone.
No personalised number plates and a Lamborghini in the room here, just double checking, all right? No one walking around with bum bags because you can? Fair enough.
So coming to Tassie, I know this might sound... Be honest, for me it was like stepping back to 20 years ago. It was like my childhood.
In the best possible way, yeah.
In the sense of, you know your neighbour. People talk to each other. You know, when someone's in need or in crisis, people are there ready to help, and the charity and the support and the network and the safety and the sense of community was something I hadn't experienced for in a very long time. So the fact that I'm privileged enough to marry a Tasmanian and raise my children here, I'm in one of the best places in the world, and I know that, and I want to embrace that. But I've seen such a transition in just the short time I've been here that's eroding. I'm seeing that the way of life eroding. I'm lucky enough that I bought into some land about 10 years ago, and I know that now my children are never going to be able to do that in Tasmania unless we have significant change. Crime's rising, freedom of voice is being eroded, but also just as the way of life is changing. So for me, I want to give back to the Tasmanian community that the privilege of having my own children and their future here. So it's very important to me. I don't want to see it going back downhill, but we need to make the stand now and make the change and stand up and rise up to make sure we don't lose it any further, but bring it back to what it was.
Correct. Can I just ask a bit of a show of hands, right, in the audience here? Who's worried about their kids and grandkids being able to afford a house? Now, just keep your hand up. Keep your hand up if you would be willing to vote for a party you'd never voted before if they could help answer that question. That is a really interesting thing for me to talk about. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Right, the Simon Says portion will continue later in the program. I always hate when they do that in debates. I don't know why I did it on telly, but Louise, it's an example, right, where I've known people that have been both very conservative and very progressive in all parts of the country, whose answer is that they're not wed to red, blue, orange or green. They want somebody who is going to unlock the same future that we had for our kids.
Absolutely. Well, I fundamentally believe, as we all do, that people need a safe and warm place to call home. And I actually see that on a very regular basis through the role in the Hobart City Council. And that's the issue that took me to council, is housing. I'm keen to advocate for mum and dad landlords, the people who are having a go in life and who have taken the risk and busted themselves to take on a second mortgage because they don't want to rely on the pension system. They want to leave that for others. And they value self-sustainability and self-sufficiency. So through the Hobart City Council, I've seen an appetite for more and more regulation, which I know makes housing harder, because the fundamental solution to all of this is supply. If we have more homes, they inherently become more affordable. The demand and supply, it really is that simple. So I feel really strongly about my role in council is to get that supply through and to do what I can to hold the tide of regulation that just makes it harder for us to get more homes on the market. Whether that's to buy or to rent, we need more homes for more people. And Tasmania, we have grown. We have grown a lot, even over the past decade or so. So many things haven't kept up, whether that's our health system, our education system, and our supply of housing. And I've seen that. Like, I've seen the price explosions. And it hurts, because Tasmanians, it wasn't that long ago where we know we were able to afford things. Things are so much more expensive now, and we need action, and we need dramatic action. So I know that people are looking for that, and people are looking for whatever party, whatever candidate can provide them with that.
All right, guys, thank you very much for the chat. Lee, thank you for joining us every Sunday night. I really appreciate it. You'll continue to do so. Lee and Louise, give them a round of applause. They care about you. Back them because they back you. Thank you, ladies. We appreciate it.